So, hello everybody and welcome to this 30-minute session, which is called Competella Contact Center Introduction Webinar. And it is an introduction webinar of our contact center solution. We aim to have this during 30 minutes, but if we have a lot of questions, we might prolong it a bit. I think that everybody's muted, which is good. And on the way, as we do the webinar, we would love you to actually send in the questions in the chat. So please, next slide, Lars. So who am I? My name is Sofia Svensson, and I am the hostess of today, as well as the communication and marketing manager here at Competella. And with me, I have Lars Fredstedt, who is the head of sales in Western Europe. And he is the one that is going to do the most of the part of this webinar. So please, next slide, the agenda, Lars. So we will go through, maybe some of you already know Competella, but for those who doesn't, we will talk a bit about who we are and what we do. We will also have a solution overview of the Competella solutions. Lars will do a live demo on the Competella Contact Center solution, show a bit about the 360-degree overview in live operation, and talk a bit about the optimized customer service that you can do as you had a good knowledge of the customer journey. We will also give you a bit of the roadmap and talk about how smooth the onboarding is for the Competella Communication Suite for Teams. Some, of course, a bit about the benefits. In the end, we will have the Q&A, as already mentioned, so send in the questions in the chat. And also, we would love you to fill in the forms survey that we will send in the chat and also in the email that we will send to you after the webinar. So please continue, Lars.
Thanks a lot for that, Sophia. So, and a very welcome to everybody who's attending the webinar today. Shortly about Competella. Competella was founded, I think just around now, 13 years ago. And we have ever since the company was established been focusing on the Microsoft Communications and Unified Communications platform. And what we have done since the early beginning is to fill in the gaps for both attendant console and contact center solutions. So that's from the beginning of Microsoft Link to Skype for Business, and the last couple of years also for Microsoft Teams, where we today have a software as a service based platform located in Azure. Our current customer base comprise of around 700 customers, and those involve just about 680,000 users worldwide. But to be honest, most of them are in Europe. We go to market direct, but also through our skilled partners who can deliver a total solution for our end customers, and through them we have a global outreach. On a high level, the Competella Communication Suite for Teams consists of three product lines. The Competella Contact Center Enterprise, which will be the main focus of today. It gives the agent a good overview of the customer journey, and with that, it comes with a 360-degree view, so that the agent has a good control of what's actually happening, but not only with the queues and the current call that they're handling, but also about the service level of the queues that the agent is a member of. The Competella Contact Center Workgroup is our advanced hunt group solution. It is typically used by Teams customers who would like to have access to real-time reporting, to advanced statistics, and also the ability, for instance, to have more advanced call flows, plus the ability to use, for instance, mobile agents that are not necessarily a Teams agent. And then we have our attendant console, which is typically being used by receptionists and to handle calls from the main number or branch offices at companies, receiving the calls, finding the best skilled person who is, by the way, available, and do a professional transfer of the call to that user or group in the company. I'll just shortly mention the contact center work group because it is a very efficient tool for non-complex contact center agent workers, and it does support the ability to work, for instance, just with the mobile phone, and that can be either just the mobile number to receive calls as an agent. It can be the ability to, of course, use the Teams app on the smartphone, as well as you have the choice, of course, of using the Teams desktop application to receive the calls. The benefit of the contact center workgroup is actually also that the contact center workgroup agent can be a member of a contact center enterprise queue. So it might be that most of the day you are working as a contact center enterprise agent, and then if you are, for instance, on call during the night time, you can switch over and log in through our the agent portal, which is web-based, and then receive calls during the evening on your smartphone. So I'll now go over to a live demo of the contact center enterprise. So what you see here in the background is the agent client, and for those of you who know our applications already, you might notice that this is actually an updated interface that we are very soon to launch. It is expected actually to go live for our Teams customers here in May. So what does it provide? It provides, for instance, of course, for the agent that I'm logged in with now, Olivia Green, the ability to log in and could go into pause mode. So if I need to do some other stuff, I can of course go into pause mode, and it still gives me the ability to actually surveillance calls, incoming calls in the queue. But also it gives me a good overview of the queues that Olivia Green is a member of. So the two here representing how many calls are waiting in line, the green dot representing that the queue is currently open, and by the way, that 0 agents are logged into that particular queue right now. And the same goes for the other queues that Olivia Green is a member of. If I would like to filter, for instance, who would then be logged into a particular queue, then I can do that over here on my left-hand side. Right now, we can see that I have a couple of calls waiting in line, and being in pause mode actually gives me the ability to also in that state to cherry pick calls from the queue. So if I would like to answer this particular call, I just double click on it, and then it will be presented for me quite fast. So still having the other call waiting in line, I can then get the further overview by, of course, having information about which number dialed in. I can see here which queue it came into. But not only that, because our solution does a lookup into the call log to provide data about when did this particular number dial into the queue the last time, and which agent was he or she talking to. And in this case, we could see that was at 12:05 and it was last transferred to Max Lemon. And we could, just for the fun of it, try to do a transfer to Max again. Max being a subject matter expert, and who is, by the way, currently away in his team's presence. So I will now do a consult transfer to Max, and very soon I will be speaking to him. So right now I'm connected to Max, and then Max, as the subject matter expert, I would be asking him some questions about the support capabilities of, for instance, Microsoft Exchange, and Max then asking me a few questions where I have the ability to toggle back to the original caller. So now I'm speaking to the original caller, and then this original caller says, but would it actually be possible to speak to your subject matter expert? And then what I can do is to create a three-party conference, which I've done now. And I can now say, hi, Max, yeah, we have this caller and he has those particular questions. Is this something that you might be able to handle? And if Max says yes, then we can leave them to it. So by just using my keyboard, I have now connected the caller and our subject matter expert. So Olivia currently being in pause mode, of course, that's not the idea of the solution in general. Of course, you would like to use either the skill-based routing or at least the automated distribution of calls to the agents. And Olivia, being a supervisor, have the ability to change the status of other users. So if I would like some help from Emma Blue and Hans Black, then I could actually do that. Just making another call into the solution. Just bear with me a second. I think we will take this one. So I had one that I just hung up. So a new call coming in, being presented to me. I am now speaking to the caller, and we can see here that again the call was transferred to Max the last time. If I would like to see more about the presence of Max and his information, I can of course do that. I have further information to the customer journey. By clicking this icon, I then have the ability to see all information about calls coming in from this particular number and who they were speaking to. And we can see here that some of them have been mapped with a category code or wrap-up code, also called, in this case, being Exchange. Again, if I would like to get some help for this particular call, then I can of course do like I did before, but I could also do a direct transfer to Max Lemon to get help for this particular call. And now, after the call, I get prompted for the wrap-up code. And then we can select what kind of reason it was for the customer dialing in. And this information is, of course, helpful for supervisors and managers to dig into, for instance, using BI tools or similar. So this ended the live demo of the actual contact center agent. I will now turn over to the administration portal. So, but first of all, what I'm showing you here is the Competella Quality Monitor. It's a real-time overview of both, of course, of calls and how many agents you have available, but it also have accumulated data where you can select different parameters over that accumulates over the day, and it's quite easy to configure what kind of metrics that you would actually like to see in order to, of course, being able to get your utilization as high as possible. The Competella statistics is located in the Competella web management or management tools, as we also call them. The management tools are built in a way so that you have the ability to both do a functional role-based access, but you can also do it from an organizational point of view by just selecting users to be a member of the agent groups as administrators. What I'll do now is to have a look at our conversation log. So the conversation log is where we manage these wrap-up categories that I was using before. So I can add them, I can remove them, and when I create a new category of wrap-up codes, then I can select which queue it should be available for, so that if you have a lot of different queues, that all agents that are working with different topics do not need to browse through them when they select it after a call. Furthermore, if I would like to dive into some information about who actually have been calling in, and also do some filtering about how many have been calling about a particular category or subject, then I can do that. I can also, for instance, if I have a customer complaint, go in and search for specific callers, which I'm doing now, and then I get the result of this. And of course, in these privacy regulation days, of course, the Competella solution comes with the ability to anonymize information, so that if a customer or a person who have called your organization would like that all traces about their connection to your organization should disappear, then you are able to do that. Of course, you need to have the access rights to do so. The next part of the statistics that I will shortly go through is the actual statistics, and here I will select one of the existing reports that we have in the system. The report designer is quite advanced, and you of course have the ability to filter down on different queues, on agents, what period of time that you would like to see. You can group it based on different parameters. You have then the ability after that to choose which kind of metrics that you would like to build your report with. And when you have done that, then you can save it so that you don't need to do this every time that you would like to retrieve data about how your performance have been in the queue or in your contact center. In this case, what we see is how many calls have been answered during a day, broken into an hourly rate. We can see also how many abandoned calls that we have had. Plus, we have an average number of agents that have been logged in during this specific period of time. Yes. Well, next part of it would be the logs. So again, if, for instance, if some issues had been happening, maybe a customer complains and maybe the call have been abandoned or similar, and this customer might have experienced this many times, then you also, of course, have the ability to dive further down into the actual call detail history. So if I would like to do that, now I search for this particular number, then I could go into, for instance, see, okay, at the 18th of May at 8:44 a.m. we had one abandoned call, and then I can actually go in to see the events of what happened, which agent was involved, if the call was then maybe transferred, not in this case, to a subject matter expert or just a person in the organization, then I would be able to follow that through. So the CD logs is a good way of also tracing both call history from cradle to grave, and so you also have the ability to do some reports on the agent activity, for instance. So this then shows in what period of time an agent have been available for the queue, for instance. Yes, so that finishes and wraps up the live demo that we would like to show you today. And if you have questions, then please ask them in the chat. But we of course provide further functionality, which is a little bit difficult to do a live demo of, and that is, for instance, our recording solution for the contact center enterprise, as well as it's available, by the way, for the attendant console. It's built on the Microsoft Teams compliance recording and is a pure cloud solution where you can set up on a queue level if you would like to do on-demand recording, if you would like to do full-time recording on inbound or on outbound calls made through the Competella app and Teams. And then, of course, again, in these privacy times and GDPR times, we can also and have made a solution available to ask for customer consent to be able to record the calls, and if not, then we of course disable the recording if that has been selected in the IVR. The recordings are retrieved also through the web-based management tools. In that you can search them, you can of course find them, you can listen to the recordings, you can download them, and if you are allowed to do so, then you can even delete the recordings also. The CRM integration is our gateway is a super product to enhance the 360-degree overview of the callers and make the agents even more prepared to handle the caller that's dialing in. And with this solution, we have the ability to do a lookup in the CRM data, show, for instance, the name of the caller, maybe the latest case ID, and some information from that. We can, based on CRM data, we are able to route calls. We are able to also do prioritization of callers. So it's a fully fledged CRM integration that gives you the best possible routing logic in order to send the caller, for instance, to the latest agent that handled the call, or send the call to a topic specialist, also known as skill-based routing, but this is then CRM-based, skill-based routing, I would call it. And of course, when the agent answers the call, you are able to set up that the solution does a screen pop of the CRM and shows the contact card of the caller and makes the agent ready to work further on the particular caller. So what's happening then in our development department right now? Well, a big part of our R&D have been spending a lot of time lately also to wrap up the Teams contact center certification that we are a part of, and we are in the last stage of that, and we expect it, if all goes well, to be finished actually here in June this year. But besides from that, we also do new developments. So we have made a new solution for integrating to Microsoft Exchange Online, where we use the secure graph interface to retrieve data for calendars and send email. We have improved our Azure AD Active Directory synchronization, so it's even more flexible and faster than and to update than it was before. And then, of course, we have done a facelift, which is soon to be released of our web application and our agent client. Furthermore, we are coming with several standard statistics reports that makes it even easier for supervisors and contact center managers to be able to show and retrieve data about their performance in the contact center. And of course, this is a help to our customers that are using our tool to plan their rotas, for instance, during busy hours and so on. And then we are after summer, we will focus on improving our web-based real-time quality monitor to show status on the agent level. We will proceed with the chat queues as a channel in the contact center, as well as email queues. So we are really looking forward to be able to provide that for our customers also. Competella is integrated in the tightest possible way that you can actually integrate a contact center to Microsoft Teams that is available as an API from Microsoft. And basically that's how we have integrated. It is completely through an API. And it means that all calls stays inside the Teams topology, and we are just signaling into Teams more or less how to handle the call. So that can be, for instance, play a welcome message, play an inline message, play number in queue, give IVR options, and then of course do the distribution to the agents. That can be either contact center workgroup agents or can be contact center enterprise agents. The advantage of this extend model native integration is that we support basically all kind of telephone line connectivity that is available on the market for Teams, and that includes Microsoft Direct Routing, Microsoft Calling Plans, and of course the new kid on the block for this, which is Operator Connect. So basically, when a call comes in through some kind of PSTN to a Teams tenant over here, then our customers get an instance, a tenant on our cloud, which is also located in Azure. And we signal to a bot, which is located in your organization's Azure, what to do with the calls through the resource accounts that are surveillancing the phone numbers, meaning the queue PS10 numbers that you have for your callers and customers to dial into your organization. So this is in a simple way how we do it. And what is then required to set up this integration from your Teams tenant to your Competella tenant is actually to register a calling bot, an identity server app for authentication, a presence server app for Microsoft Teams Presence, of course, an Azure User Importer app for your Azure Directory, and then an Azure Calendar Sync app which retrieves information about busy and free time, for instance, from your Exchange environment, so that the agent has that as a foundation to find out which persons are available in your organization during the day when they are handling calls. So some of the benefits with the Competella Contact Center solution is that it is actually quite easy to onboard and get going. We have an automated onboarding tool that takes between 15 minutes and 60 minutes to get all the stuff done in your Azure tenant. And then after that, we can set up the Competella tenant really fast. We support all the telephony trunk line offerings that are available for Teams. We provide a 360-degree overview for the agents, so that's both status of other agents, queue status. It includes, of course, the contacts showing who is actually specifically waiting in line, and with the CRM integration, then we can retrieve data from the CRM and show actually the names of the caller. And of course, we have the customer journey available, both including our wrap-up codes, but also including the CRM integration. And by providing a good overview of internal resources and subject matter experts with presence, it gives a good foundation of providing a professional service for people who contact your organization when they use the Competella tools. We have statistics to plan, we have logs to drill down and understand the caller history, and then we have, of course, the conversation log, subject tags to identify the trends of what are your agents actually spending their time on during the day, what kind of subjects are they speaking to the customers and callers about. So this wraps up the Competella Contact Center Enterprise Introduction webinar. And Sophia, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. We have 2 questions so far. The first one is, what is required from a Microsoft license perspective to use the Enterprise Contact Center? And the same question for the Contact Center Workgroup solution.
Well, seen from a Microsoft license perspective, you do actually not need to have a lot of telephony voice-enabled agents. Microsoft have actually officially confirmed this to us. However, of course, if you want your agents to be able to besides from receiving calls from the outside, and also being able to, of course, do outbound calls, meaning call out to PSTN numbers, then you would need, of course, a voice-enabled agent, which we recommend, and that gives, of course, the best possible ways of working. Furthermore, license-wise, you would need a pay-as-you-go minimum for your Azure subscription, so that you're able to register the calling bot and the 4 apps that I spoke about before. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good, thank you. And then, are the calls still recorded after a transfer in case of always on recording?
In the current version of the solution, we stop recording when the call has been transferred. We could, if we would, also record them after that, but it's not part of the solution as is right now.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Any other questions? In such case, just please send them into the chat. It seems like people have sent in the questions that they have.
Right. Well, then let's move to the next part of it. So I know that Sophia have sent out a link to our survey. We very much appreciate if you take the time to just quickly run through the few questions that we have, because we would like to improve these webinars as good as we can, and your input is definitely valuable. And also, if you are interested in our attended console solution, we have the next introduction session on June 15th. So furthermore, you are, of course, most welcome to contact me as well as my colleagues if you have questions about our solution. And of course, what I gave you today is sort of a helicopter view of the capabilities of our solution. And if you would like to know more in depth about what we are able to provide, and of course how it can help you transform to Microsoft Teams and still being able to take care of your customer with a good qualified tool, the Competella Communication Suite, then we are more than happy to speak to you. So please come forward.
Yes.
Yes. So wrapping up, We did go a little bit over time. I'm sorry for that, but I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and we thank you for your participation. So thank you, and have a good day.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, the same. Have a nice day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.